So we are beginning our revision today, and I would like to approach it topic-wise. And therefore, the first question I want us to attempt is November 2015, question 1B. November 2015, question 1B. When you see it, let me know. Okay, so the question says that a company is considering whether to purchase equipment to increase its production and its sales volume. The equipment costs shillings 500,000, actually million, and has a useful life of 3 years, after which can be sold as scrap for 8 million. For each of the 3 years of usage, the equipment is expected to increase both sales volume and operating costs by 600 million and 390 million respectively. The company's cost of capital is 10% required. Compute the percentage change required in each of the following factors for the project to be rejected. 1, initial cost of equipment. Number 2, scrap value of the equipment. And number 3, we have the sales value. So as you know very well, when we are evaluating projects, we consider a project acceptable if the NPV is positive. If the NPV is positive. So first of all, this question is on what we call sensitivity analysis. This question is on what we call sensitivity analysis. And I am saying that a project is acceptable if NPV is greater than 0. A project will be rejected if NPV is less than 0. Is less than 0. Is less than 0. Now, if that is the case, the next point of approach will be at indifference point. At indifference point, okay, maybe before we could have written at indifference point. Now that maybe you have written at indifference point, the present value of cash inflow should be equal to the present value of cash outflow. That is, NPV is 0. at indifference point. At indifference point, the NPV is 0. So if that is the case, then we say the inflows, or we just call them net annual cash flow. Net annual cash flow, we are given that sales will increase by 600 and the costs will increase by 390. So give me that. Yeah, 210. Now, because this is an annuity, we will need to get the present value for the annuity. At the cost of capital is 10% and 3 years. So you want to use the formula or the tables? Table.
The table.
Okay, got the table. Unisome. Ile ya annuity. One for annuity.
2.4869.
2.4869. 2.4869. Higher. There is another inflow. So the salvage value we are told is 80. So we need to get the present value interest factor again at 10% for 3 years. For 3 years.
$0.7513. 0.7513.
13, good. Sasa with that, what else do I require? So I can just go straight to get the NPV. Now NPV, we know it is the present value of cash inflows minus the present value of cash outflows. So the present value of the cash inflows will be these 210 times the interest factor 2.4869 plus kuna hii 80 times 0.7513. So those will be the inflows. Then the present value of the outflow is simply the initial cost. The initial cost, we are told that this machine is expected to cost 500. 82.353. 82.353. So the advice here is that you accept. That project is acceptable. Now we are told we compute the percentage change. So now, how do we get the percentage change? If you are looking for the percentage change, I told you, you should always get the new value. You less the old value. You divide by the old value times 100. That's how we get the percentage change. It's the old value. Sorry, it's the new value minus old value. You divide by old value. So let's start with the initial cost of the equipment. So initial costs of the equipment. Initial cost of the equipment. Now, because you already have the formula here, for NPV, we are saying if we let, actually we don't even have to say let, just go straight. Tasema hivi, 210 times 2.4869 plus 80 times 0.7513 minus the present value of cash outflow should be equal to 0. Minus the present value of cash outflow should be equal to 0. Should be equal to 0. So we now solve and say the present value of cash outflow should be equal to 210 times 2.4869 plus 80 times 0.7513. $582.53. 582.353. And therefore, percentage change should be the new value, 582.353 minus the old value. The old value is 500. You divide by 500 times 100. $16.47. So you reject the project. you reject the project if initial costs increases by more than 16.4706%. Yeah, that's when we shall reject that project. If we go beyond 16. Now, remember at 16, at this one, we are indifferent. Hapo ndio hatujui tukatae tukubali. But ikiongezeka beyond that, we kataa. Haya, the next item we are taught to assess is scrap value of the equipment. So, scrap value of the equipment. Remember tulisema sensitivity analysis assumes only one item is changing. The others remain constant. So if it is the scrap value, then we are saying that 210 times 2.4869 plus scrap value times 0.7513 minus 500 should be 0. Minus 500 should be 0. So if we want to be left with scrap value on its own, I hope you can see that. Hii itaenda ile side. So we will have 0 minus hii 210 times 2.4869. Na hii nayo ikiruka huko, it will become positive. So plus 500. Alafu sasa hii ikuje divide everything. 0.7513. Aha, you're getting negative. That is it's negative 210 times 2.4869 plus 500. You divide by 0.7513. Yeah. Okay. It's coming to negative. Why is it negative? Kuna kitu tumemiss. Kwa hii formula 210, so minus 500 should be 0. So nataka kuachwa na hii hapa, so ikirudi huko ikuwe negative, na hiyo ikuwe positive. Okay. Times 2.4869. Hadi kuna mahali tunakosea. Oh. Tukosei, kwa sawa. It should be negative. Okay. Sawa, inakuja negative 29.614. Math reduce. So the percentage change should be equal to the new value, negative 29.614 minus the old value, 80. You divide by the old value times 100. Tell me the percentage change. Yeah, negative 137.0175. So we are then saying you reject if salvage value decreases by more than 137.0175%. Yeah. You will reject that if the salvage value decreases because hapa tumepata negative. The next one is sales revenue. Let's see what happens to sales revenue. Sales revenue now, for us to work the sales revenue, itabidi tuanzie huku. Ndio hii. Now this one is the one that gave us this 210 yenye tumekuwa tukitumia. So I'll simply come here and say revenue minus 390. Hiyo ndio inatupea 210. We multiply by 2.4869. Plus 80 times 0.7513 minus 500. We should get a 0 there. So if we get a 0, sasa this will be 2.4869 R minus 390 times 2.4869, 969,891. 969.891 plus 80. 80 times 0.7513. 60.104 minus 500 is 0. So how do I get R? R will be 0. Hii rudi huko itakuwa positive 969.891 na hii itakuwa negative 60.104 na hii itakuwa positive. All those, I will divide them by 2.4869. So 969.891 minus that answer plus 500. I divide by 2.4869. Tell me you are getting what? Yeah, 566.885. And therefore, the percentage change is the new value, 566.885 minus the old value, 600. You divide times 100. Negative 5.51. 519%. So with that, in mind, so you reject if sales revenue decrease by more than 5.51%. Yeah, if sales revenue goes down by more than that percent, you should reject that project. So that's the way to go in such a scenario. Are we okay there?
Yes.
Good. So the next question I want us to attempt is November 2016, question 1B. November 2016, question 1B. Are you there? Good. SKB Limited is considering a proposal to manufacture a new drug named Millennium. The drug will be manufactured using a machine which will cost shillings 13 million. The cash flows and the drug life relating to Millennium have been estimated as stochastic exogenous variables with the following distributions. Okay. The minimum required rate of return from this project is 16%. The company has approached you as a financial management expert to perform an analysis of the above project. Using the following random numbers, perform 10 simulation runs for the net present value of this project, and then determine the expected net present value. The expected net present value. Okay. Joyce, good morning. Good, karibu. So the first thing I told you when you are dealing with simulation, we are looking at the question of November 2016. November 2016, question 1B. That's where we are. November 2016, question 1B. Now, the first thing is always to come up with the Monte Carlo for the random variables. So let's come up with the Monte Carlo for the after-tax cash flows. The Monte Carlo for after-tax cash flows. Now, in the Monte Carlo, we will have shillings. We will have the probability. We will have the cumulative probability. And then we shall have the range. We shall have the range. So the shillings are starting from 1,000 to 4,000. 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 25, 3,000, 3,500, and 4,000. That's the far they are getting to. That's the far they are getting to. Then the probabilities are 0.23, 0.02, 0.03, 0.15, 0.15. Then we have 3, 2, and 5. 0.3, 0.2, 0.15. For the cumulative, I hope you remember we said you just cumulate here 0.02, you add this one to get 0.05. You add this, you get 0.2. You add this to get 0.35. You add this to get 0.65. You add here, you get 0.85. And you add here, you get 1. That's how we get the cumulative. For the range, tukasema you look at them as whole numbers. Now that we have 2 decimals, so it is 100. If we had 1 decimal, it would be 10. So you start with 0, 0 to stop at this number as 1. So you stop at 1, 0, 1. Then you start at 0, 2 to stop at this one, 0, 4. So from 0, 4, you start at 0, 5 to go stop at 1, 9. Then from 1, 9, you start 20 to stop at 34. From 34, you start at 35 to stop at 64. From 64, you start at 65 to stop at 84. And from 84, you start at 85 to start at to stop at 99. The next one is now the Monte Carlo. The Monte Carlo for life. The Monte Carlo for useful life. The Monte Carlo for useful life. The Monte Carlo for useful life. Now, this useful life is given in terms of years. So I will have the years here. I will have the probability. I will have the cumulative probability. And I will have the age. Let me put it that way so that my space is to share. But in the exam, it's advisable you write in full. Though it's not a math, but it's good when something is written in full. It creates no room for guesswork of what it is. But hatuwezi tukakuangusha now that you have written in short form. They're the ones who teach you. So, the years imeanza 3 up to 10. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Probabilities ni 5, 10, 30. Uh, 25, 15, 10. Three and 2. Cumulative, this is 0.05, 0.15, 0.45, 0.70, 0.85, 0.95, 0.98, and 1. So sasa the rate should be 00 up to 04, then 5 to 14, 15 to 44, 45 to 69, 70 to 84, 85 to 94, 95 to 97, 98 to 99. I believe we are comfortable with Monte Carlos. Is that so, Anne and Joyce? Okay, Anne. Good. Haya, sasa ukishatengeneza the Monte Carlos, the next thing now is to do the simulation schedule or the simulation sheet. The simulation schedule or the sheet. And this is guided by what is it you want to achieve. Sasa hapa tunataka kuachieve the NPV. So how do you get NPV? We know so well that NPV is the present value of inflows minus the present value of the outflows. So we must have the inflows. So inflows ndio hizi. Haya. Then to get the present value, we will be guided by the interest rate, tulisema interest rate, and then the year. Because tulisema NPV is determined by 3 things: cash, the discounting rate, and the time. So now that we already have cash, we require now the time, and then with that, we will have the PVIF factors. Actually, these are annuities, so that we get the present value. We less the outflows, we get NPV. So when you have that in mind, inakusaidia kupanga your sheet. So the simulation sheet. So we will have the run number here. The run number, it will be here. Then kwanza tutawekelea hizi random variables. Ya kwanza ni after tax cash flow. After tax cash flow. Now here we will have the random number. And then we have shillings. Now these shillings, we will call it the cash flow, the CF. So that is about the cash flows. Then we will have the useful life. The useful life. So for the useful life, once again, we will have the random number. And then we'll have the years. So the years, we can call them T. Or rather, let's call them N. I think hiyo ndio lugha sana tunatumia kwa FM. To represent the time. We call them N. Now with that, we shall get the PVIFA. Now this PVIFA will be guided by the rate. We can just be very specific because we know the rate is 16%. It will be at 16% and N. And N. Then, we will have the present value of cash outflow. We can have it there. The present value of cash outflow. Then, the last column, I could also create the present value for the inflow, but I can avoid that column. We show it as a formula here so that we just go straight and get the net present value. Some people will call it the expected NPV. So this expected NPV will be given as our cash flow F multiplied by PVIFA, you minus the PVCOF. That is how we shall get the net present value. Yeah. So with that, I think we are good to go. We are good to go with that. So ukimaliza kuchora hiyo table sema finished. There's Anne, you can see you're finished. Yes, good. So we start with simulation 1. Unaenda hapo kwa the random numbers. The first one is 53. So hii 53 unakuja hapa kwa Monte Carlo ya cash flow. Niambie inatupea cash flow ngapi? Cash flow ya ngapi? Ukiwa na 53 random number, ukikuja kwa hii Monte Carlo inakupea cash flow ya 3000. Utaipata hapa, 53 iko hapa. So it is 3000. The next random number is 97. Let me get this now from Anne. Anne, tell me 97 is going to give us how many years? Yenda pale kwa Monte Carlo. Good, 9. Haya, sasa chukua your tables Chukua your tables unisomee 16% for 9 years. Annuity is what factor? $4.6065. The present value of the outflow we have this project is going to cost 13 million. So if it is 13 million, you write 13,000. So now put in the calc. Useme 3,000 times 4.6065 minus 13,000. Niambie unapata ngapi? Yeah, 819.5. Let's go to the second run. The second run, we have 66. So 66, we have 3,500. The random number is 99. So 99 is going to give us 10 years. So nisome the PVIF. $4.8332. This one is 13,000. So let's work out. Useme 3,500 times 4.8332 minus 13,000. That 916.2. Let us go to number 3. Number 3, the random number is 30. So 30 ukiangalia hapa we have 2,500. Then we have 81. 81 itafuta huko inatupea 7 years. So nisomee hiyo PVIF. $4.0386. $4.0386. This is 13,000. So we now say 2,500 times 4.0386 minus 13,000 negative 2903.5. Then we go to number 4. Number 4, the random number is 19. So 19 unaipata hapa kwa 2000. 09. So 09 unaipata pale kwa 4 years. So nisomee hiyo. $2.7982. So give me the NPV. Negative 7403.6. Next is number 5. For number 5, the random number is that 1. So that 1 kitafuta hapa inanipea 2,500. Followed by 67. 67 nikitafuta huko inanipea 6 years. So nisomee the PVIF. $3.6847. 3.6847. The outflow is 13. Negative 3788.25. Negative. So we go to number 6. The random number is 81. So 81 iko hapa kwa 3,500. Ikifuatwa na 70. So 70 iko pale kwa 7 years. So 7 hii tu tulikuwa tumesoma 4.0386. Hiyo tulikuwa nayo. So give me the net present value. $1135.1. Hapa niweke hiyo. So 1135.1 positive. So we go to number 7. Number 7, the random number is 38. So 38 iko hapa. Iko hapa kwa 3,000. The next is 75. So 75 itapatikana hapa kwa number 7. So this is still 4.0386 and the outflow is 13. The outflow is 13. Negative 884.2. Haya. Run number 8. The random number is 48. So 48 is here, 3000. The random number is 83. 83 will give us 7. So it is 4.0386. Outflow is 13. So endelea namna hiyo on your own. Ufanye 9 and 10. Then utanipea toto ya hapa. Utanipea toto. Aha. Waiting for the total. When they ask for the expected net present value, the expected net present value, it is the average. And the average, you get this total, negative 11,841.65. You divide by 10. So this will be 1184.165 negative. So that is the expected net present value. Aya. So are we good there? Yeah, good. So sasa ukipata swali ya simulation, unapambana nayo vizuri. So the next question I want us to attempt, I hope time will allow us to finish, is June 2008. Go to June 2008. 2008. There is a question there, 4B. June 2008, question 4B. So if we are there, the question inasema MobileNet or MobileNet Limited is a company operating in the telecommunications industry. The company intends to invest in an equipment that would facilitate wireless internet connectivity to small and medium-sized businesses. The equipment would cost shillings 125 million. Additional information. Given the rapid technological change in the telecommunications industry, the equipment is estimated to have a useful life of only 3 years with no salvage value. The expected annual cash inflows from the project and their probabilities of occurrence are dependent on the state of demand as shown below. Now, the company intends to purchase the equipment on 1st of January 2009 However, the company has the option of delaying the purchase to 2010 in order to obtain further information on the project. The cost of the equipment, the cash inflows, and their probabilities of occurrence are expected to remain the same regardless of the project implementation date. If the project is delayed to 1st of January 2010, the cash inflows associated with each state of demand will be known beforehand, and the management would only purchase the equipment if a positive net present value is expected. The cost of capital is 12%. Now, using decision tree analysis, calculate the expected net present value, standard deviation, and coefficient of variation of the project as at 1st of January 2009 under each of the two possible implementation dates. Advise on whether to invest. So when you come across a decision tree, I told you the first thing is to know what are the options available. The options, tukasema, it is what is within control. So it is within control of these guys to know when to start. Either to start 2010 or to start 2009. Those are options that are available to them. They can freely decide. Once you know the options, the next thing is to know the outcomes. The outcomes are beyond control. And I told you outcomes have probabilities. So we have three possibilities here. You can get high, average, or low. So there are three possibilities. There are three possibilities. So in that case now, our tree will have 6 tails. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 6 of them. Higher. Then, just like I have told you with the simulation, you need to know where are you headed. We are headed to getting NPV. We are headed to getting NPV. That will be our end result. Now, how do we get NPV? It is the present value of cash inflows minus the present value of cash outflows. So we will need to get the cash outflows. We need to have a column of cash outflows. We will also need the column for the present value of cash inflows. Now, the present value of the inflows will require the cash flows and the PVIF. That's a column we shall require. Then, because the question is talking of the expected, we will then have the what? The probabilities. We will have the probabilities. As in this one now, if we call it the expected, this one will have to be multiplied by the probability. You remember the formula of getting the expected value of X. It is the expected value of X. It is the outcome times the probability. When you have that, it becomes easier now to design the decision tree or to design your work. And also, you need to put in mind, what else you are required to do. They require us to get the standard deviation. They require us to get the standard deviation. We know the formula of standard deviation. Standard deviation, although tutaandika vizuri, it is the sum of xi minus x bar square probability of xi. Yeah. And CV, we know it is the standard deviation you divide by the mean. Yeah. So those things should be rotating in your mind so that you are able now to design your question vizuri. So with that in mind, utaenda at the end of your page, at the end of your page, ndio tupange hizi vitu. So the very last that we expect is the expected net present value. The expected net present value. In case there will be need for formula, tutaweka. Now, as we have said, for me to get the expected net present value, I'll need to have gotten the probability. So the probability I'll need to have gotten the present value of cash outflow. The present value of cash outflow. I will also need to have gotten the PVIF-A. Now, PVIF-A, it will be based on the cost of capital is 12%. So it will be at 12% and N. And N then what else tumeona I'll need? I'll need the cash inflow. The cash inflow. The cash inflow. So this will not be the present. I think with those, sasa hii nikimultiply na hii, it will give me the present value of the cash inflows. Nitoe hii, ndio nipate NPV, multiply na hii, I get my expected net present value. So you can leave them that way, or you can designate them. You can designate, if you want to show how you are arriving at that, you can say this is my A, this is B, this is C, and this is D. So that you say my expected net present value will be given as A times B minus C. I multiply by D. That's how I shall arrive at my so anyone following your workings will be able to see. Sasa hapa ndio nitaachiwa kuchora the decision tree. Now, I also already know that I need 6 tails. So if I need 6 tails, I will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So sasa kazi yangu itafika hapo. And maybe acha ikae tu hivyo. Nitatengeneza as a working down there. Cha kwanza tumalizane na hii. So this one I call it number 1. This one I call it number 2. No. Hiyo sio ya number 2. Sio hiyo number 2. Number 2 ni huyu. So with that, so here we have two possibilities. The first one is no delay. So if no delay, that means you start on 1st of January 2009. Then here you delay. So this is number 3, you delay. That means you start on 1st of January 2010. Yeah. Then you can get high, you can get average and low. You can get high, average, and low. So this is how they're supposed to be drawn. These lines represent the options, and these ones represent the outcomes. Although in the marking center, they don't really want you to differentiate, or that, rather they are not strict. Hata ukichora zote hizi ziko complete. But that is not the correct way. Hii video inastahili kuchorwa. So the probabilities are 0.25, 0.5, and 0.25. 0.25, 0.5, and 0.25. Hii ni nisukume juu kidogo. Kama umefika hapo sema okay. Haya. So let's put the cash flows. The cash inflows, when you're high, it is 82.5. The annual, this is also 62.5. Then this one is 12.5. The same case here, 82.5. And then the next is 62.5. And this 12.5. So sasa, for the first one here, utaenda kwa 12 na usome ya 3 years. Because tukianza hapa 09 tunamaliza after 3 years. So nisomee the PVIFA for the PVAF. Nisomee ya 3 years. $2.4018. 2.4018. 2.4018. 2.4018. But this one where we delay, this money will be receivable only for 2 years. So nisomee ya 2 years now, not 3 years. Because there is a delay here. So tutatumia 2 years. 1.69. 1.6901. 1.6901. 1.6901. Then the present value of the cash outflow. This project tumeambiwa it is currently costing alisema wapi? 125. 125. So utaweka 125 hapa. 125. 125. But this other one, because you are going to delay, maybe you can show down there as a working. So you can have your workings down there. So this, the present value of cash outflow, where there is delay, we will need to discount it. It will be 125 times the PVIF at 1 year and 12%. So 125 times, nisomee hiyo ya anaitwa nani? 1 year 12%. We discount it because lazima tumeambiwa tutafute the present value as at now, but hii tunajua itakuwa invested 1 year from now, so we must bring it. So 0.8929. 8929 ndio tujue ikikuwa invested 1 year from now. Saa hii ni pesa ngapi hiyo? $111.6125. 111.6125. Sasa hiyo ndio utakuja uweke hapa. 111.6125. 111.6125. 111.6125. Haya. Sasa turudi kwa the probabilities. So probabilities, we only have one set, these ones. So hii ndio unaleta hapa 0.25, 0.5, 0.25, 0.25. If you had several probabilities on the same line, sema kama hapa kungekuwa na probabilities, that's when we talk of joint probability. Sasa unachukua hii una multiply na hii ndio unaweka pale if there were more than one. So tuende kazi now. So uchukue this one times this minus this equals, then multiplied by 0.25. $18.287. Umeona kuna column niliacha lakini ni sawa. 18.287. Haya, let's go to the next one. $12.556. Next. Negative 23.744. Next. $6.955. Next. Haya, so negative 2.99. Then negative 22.62. Haya, so So the expected net present value at node 1, if you want to know the expected net present value at node 1, this one, you add these three. It will be 18.287 plus 12.556 plus negative 23.744. $7.099. So node 2, you do the same. 6.955 plus negative 2.99 plus negative 22.62. Negative 18.655. Naona time yetu imebaki 2 minutes. Now to get the others, to compute so that means ile utachagua ni ile iko the highest. So we are going to go for this one. So no delay. So the advice pale, andika advice, no delay. What do I require now? What I require, nataka kutafuta values za standard deviation, so tutarudi hapa chini, we say no delay. We have the present value of cash inflow. The expected net present value. We will have the probability. Then the present value of cash inflow minus the expected net present value squared multiplied by the probability. We will need a table like that. Hii column ya present value of the inflows weka pale, lakini ni sawa. So hii ndio formula ya kutafuta variance. So itakuwa tu rahisi. So the present cash flow of the inflows, utachukua hii plus this. Itakuwa 18 no, sio hivyo. Utachukua this one, 82.5 times 2.4 0.018. Yes. So hiyo ndio utaweka hapa. Sasa you minus 125. You minus let's change this one. Let's change this one. We call it NPV. I think that is what I need before I call it net. So this one will be NPV. NPV. Change that. So nataka NPV ndio nitafute standard deviation. So the NPV, so I minus 125, nitapata 73.1485. Haya, huyu mwingine 62.5 times 2.4018 minus 125. It is 25.1125. Na huyu mwingine 12.5 times 2.4018 minus 125 is negative 94.9775. Haya, the expected NPV ni ile tumepata 7. Not 7. Yeah, hiyo 7. Hiyo 7 ilikuwa na probability. Yeah. So 7.0 99 Oh, I think I'm getting it wrong. Okay, nimejua. So we are supposed to have we are supposed to raise the specific the expected one there 18.287. Yeah, now that's okay. 12.556 and negative 23.744. Then you put the probabilities 0.25, 0.5, and 0.25. Then you put them here, you square, you multiply by the probability. The total that you shall get here, sorry, I'm rushing because of time. The total you shall get here is the variance. Then you get the square root to get the standard deviation. And then ukishapata standard deviation, you get the CV. You get the CV. You got to tumeelewana how to get the standard deviation. And Joyce? Yeah, good. So just complete, utafute the standard deviation, utafute the CV. Hiyo swali tuseme tumemaliza. Sorry, time imepita. You have done well. Thank you very much. Let's meet in our next lesson to do some more.